resume? Have they been out? People forget,
dude. No, not Gane above Holloway, dude. He must have forgot. But let's react to Bedtime's video.
I'm here to give you guys the real top 10 strikers in the UFC. You guys are probably waiting for some real factual information, fact checked by a true American patriot. And that's what I'm here to do today. All right. I'm going to give you the real top 10 strikers in the UFC. All right, man. My criteria, before you go in the comments and you're like, well, actually, you said this. Listen, bro. It's eye test. All right. Who physically looks like they are the best striker? Like, who's had the best performances? Who have they actually beat on their...
This is the thing. The only issue I have with this whole list is that it didn't include Max. But it included people like Adesanya. Listen, Holloway has had 2 legendary performances against Jose Aldo. He's had a performance over Calvin Kattar. He's had a performance over Brian Ortega. He had a masterclass over Justin Gaethje. He's had wins over Arnold Allen, who's a really slick striker who's very fast. He's knocked down and knocked out TKZ. I know TKZ's not that great, but it's like, what's Adesanya doing to a TKZ? Well, he's going to a lackluster decision with a TKZ, a.k.a. Marvin Vettori. You get my point, all right? That's what he's doing to a guy like Adesanya. But Holloway's just had so many good performances in his career. He needs to be on the list. Maybe Bedtime literally forgot. Maybe he actually forgot to put Holloway, and if that's the case, then whatever. But come on, bro. Come on, bro. Come on, bro. Come on, bro. Come on, man. Hey, man. Come on, man. Come on, you got to put him on the list.
Resume, have they been out? People forget,
dude, man. No, not Gane above Holloway. Dude, he must have forgot. If you got Gane in there and not Holloway, listen, I understand Gane is good. Gane has a boring performance in front of Jairzinho. When has Holloway ever had a boring performance against a guy of the likes of Jairzinho Rozenstruik? Holloway's most boring performance was against Frankie Edgar, and it's Edgar. It ain't even Jairzinho. Gane has had a boring fight with Jairzinho. Gane, as soon as he fought an elite level striker, he had a close fight with him, and it was decent. He won. Good for him, but he's literally only dominated fat, big blobs, big oafs. And I don't think Gane is not a great striker. He is. I think for heavyweight, he's excellent, but you got to have Holloway. Either way. He must have forgot Holloway. I don't believe that he didn't include... He must have forgot Holloway. He must have forgot. I know Bedtime said he forgot Holloway already in another video. Oh, okay. Well, then in that case, I can't even critique it. I can't critique it. Then, okay, then I take back everything I said about him forgetting Holloway, because I knew, come on. As soon as you see Adesanya and Gane and not Holloway, you just know that he must have forgot. That's like how I forgot Poirier in my striking list. That's like how I forgot Poirier. Gane is an eye test merchant. He's very good. Gane is great. Listen, I would put Gane in there. I might put Gane in there too. He's a decent pick.
I'm putting Izzy at 7, dude. The glaze is wearing off. I'm not going to lie.
Is wearing off.
Every couple of years, I feel... Oh, not every couple of years, but, every couple of months, I'll say this. Every couple of months, people like to reshine the glaze on Izzy, dude. They reshine the fucking glaze on Izzy. They go, dude, Izzy's the best pure striker at middleweight. People forget. You must have forgot. People be gaslighting you into thinking this dude's just this OP fucking striker, dude. They repost the Pereira knockout.
The funniest thing, dude, the funniest thing is that, people will put Adesanya in their top 10. They'll critique him. They'll be like, people act like this guy is another worldly style bender from the Matrix. They'll critique him for 5 minutes, and they'll still have him in the top 10. That's the thing, dude. People will admit Adesanya's overrated, and they'll still just fucking throw him in the top 5. It doesn't make sense. I mean, listen, I'm the guy that says that you can call people overrated, and they can still be really good. Jones is overrated, but Jones is still a really good fighter. I've said that people can be overrated and talk about how they're overrated, and I'll still give them credit. But for Adesanya, it's just some of the critiques are just based on his performances. And the performances Some of them are losses.
He reposted the Costa, dude, still one of the cleanest performances of all time.
Don't tell Kenny.
True. But, I mean, this guy's boxing has always been kind of not up to standard when you rewatch a lot of his performances, you know? People will show that clip of him dodging the punches from Vettori.
If you don't think Pereira is a similar, if you think Pereira is not a similar level to Adesanya or Casual, if you think Pereira's not, but Pereira beat the guys that Adesanya failed to beat. Like, Pereira outstruck Yan and wasn't dominated in the ground game. Well, I say that as if he wasn't dominated in the ground game in the first round. But he outstruck Yan. That's the difference. Pereira and Adesanya both got out-grappled by Yan. One of them outstruck him and one of them didn't. Okay? Sean Strickland got KO'd by Alex Pereira. He destroyed Adesanya. So, and Alex Pereira has one loss in the UFC. That's it. Adesanya's got way more than one. And Pereira beat Adesanya. Like, people will be like, yeah, but Adesanya beat him. Well, Pereira beat this dude too. They're 1-1. They're 1-1. Stylistically, you guys know, stylistically, you can be 1-1 with someone and be better than them overall because you can dominate more styles of fighters in your division than they can. So, like, for example, Robert Whittaker versus Adesanya. Adesanya could beat Whittaker twice, okay? But then he could struggle against a bunch of other fighters that Whittaker could dominate. That's kind of the point that I'm making. That doesn't mean that I'm not even talking about who's better, Izzy or Whittaker, just in general. 3-1, listen, I don't even think the 3-1 thing applies to MMA. Kickboxing, it's a different sport. You know, that was way back in the day. Adesanya did really do well in one of those fights that he should have won. Should be 2-2, to be honest. Like, who cares about the kickboxing records? But, yeah. Bedtime is better than Flukas. Flukas needs a PFL channel. PFL channel. I'm good. I don't want to make a PFL channel. Thank you for the $2.
In that clip, he literally lands 0 punches on Vettori himself. They just both dodge each other's shit. So I feel like Izzy gets a lot of, like I said, glaze, like that. This guy's not going to be around forever, man. You got to appreciate him while he's here. Okay, but can we just be real that he got completely fucking schooled by Sean Strickland and Jan Blachowicz and got KO'd by Pereira, who only had like 4 fights in the UFC?
You know what?
You're supposed to.
You know what? That's enough, Sean. Okay? Sean says Izzy was winning all his fights. Pereira just won with his big fluky hook. That's not true. What do you mean? Oh, first of all, are you talking about just their fights when they fought each other? Or are you talking about fights in general? Because Pereira didn't need a big fluky hook to beat Jan Blachowicz and outstrike him. Okay? And Pereira didn't need a big fluky hook to outstrike Adesanya in multiple of their rounds. You know? Pereira didn't need to land one big hook to put Adesanya away. He rocked him with a hook and teed off on him and had him up against the fence. And the leg kicks were better for Pereira. The clinch striking was better for Pereira. Right? Yeah, Pereira, part of his game is the power, but look at how Adesanya's been able to win his fights. When he goes to decision with Robert Whittaker, he loses. And it was a robbery that Whittaker should have won. When he beats Robert Whittaker, he needs a big hook. That's basically what he needs. Right? When it goes the distance, Adesanya is getting his legs chipped apart and he's getting beat up and he's getting jabbed up by Sean Strickland. But when he lands his big hook, he KOs people like Derek Brunson. You know what I mean? I'm not critiquing the Brunson performance. I'm just saying you could literally just say the same thing about Adesanya. No, it's not a hate stream, dude. I'm just responding to this one comment. Jan. All right, let's get ready for some Jan glaze.
This little fucking gremlin.
This gremlin, dude.
Complete menace to society. And I just want to give him some credit for being one of the best strikers in the UFC as well.
Yeah.
The war that he had with O'Malley, he's rocking O'Malley. I'm like, nobody does. I feel like Joe Rogan. Oh my God. I'm going to be real, dude. Joe Rogan yaps, but all the things he says, you have to say them at least once. Like, I just have to be real. Nobody does that to Sean O'Malley. Nobody does that to O'Malley. Nobody
does this to O'Malley, man. I was looking at the lightweight goat slide in your goats video. I realized Poirier Loki has a better resume than Khabib. Khabib just has the dominance. Well, that's the thing. resume is not only wins. You have to look at the wins and the losses. Poirier has too many losses to compete with Khabib. Like, if Khabib was on the same level as Poirier and it was just a matter of time before he lost and, you know, he was as good as Poirier, then I think we would have found out by the time he had fought the competition that he fought. Like, don't get me wrong, maybe he would have lost to an Arman, maybe he would have lost to Charles, but Poirier didn't have 12 fights in a row where he won before he lost to one bad stylistic matchup. There's a lot more stylistic matchups that got the better of Poirier than Khabib. There was only one type of stylistic matchup that could really get the better of Khabib, or a couple. There's a bunch that got the better of Poirier. But as far as wins go, yes, Poirier's got a lot more wins than Khabib at lightweight. A lot more good wins, that is. But because Khabib's undefeated, 13-0, dominance, you're right, it's the dominance. It's the dominance. And he beat Poirier. You know, you do get a lot when you just beat the guy that you're competing with. That's not the end-all, be-all. Like, for example, Volkanovski beating Aldo didn't put him above Aldo. Beating Max didn't put him above Max. He had to beat Max multiple times and defend his title a couple times to get ahead of them. Who wins, 6'4" Tracy or 5'8" Pereira? Probably 5'8" Pereira, just because he would kick the shit out of my legs and I wouldn't be skilled enough to beat him, I don't think. Probably him. 5'8" Alex Pereira is still like a deadly fighter. He still has a hook that could KO me. Thank you for the $2. Ankalaev claimed he'd held down Ngannou. He held down Ngannou in a street fight after Ngannou tried to KO him on the Red Fury MMA channel. I don't believe they had a street fight, though. I think that's one of those lost in translation things. Maybe you're right, but I have a hard time believing that he got into a street fight with Ngannou. Held down Ngannou in a street fight after Ngannou tried to KO him. What? Tried to KO him? I don't buy that. The street fight. That's probably Ankalaev means me and Ngannou had fights, meaning they had sparring sessions, and Ngannou tried to knock him out and he held him down. AKA he sparred with Ngannou, who's known for KOing people, and he held him down. That's what it means, most likely. These Russians, they have a weird way of speaking sometimes. He did not say street fight. I don't believe it. And if he said street fight, he was probably joking. 5'8" Lucas was having wars with Magomed in Extreme Couture. 6'4" Magomed would destroy Pereira. That's the thing. I was wrestling with Magomed, so it's not like we can't just bullshit and say I was striking with him. Striking would have been a different game, but yeah, I took Magomed down a couple times. I don't want to brag about it. I did take him down a few times. Listen, it happened in the gym. It is what it is. I probably out wrestled a bunch of fighters that day, but you don't see me bragging about it.
One of the best boxers in the UFC, maybe the best pure boxer in the UFC. Great body kicks as well. This is where eye test kind of comes into it as well. But the reason he's not in my top 5, I know Kenny Okoye had him in fucking number 1.
Ooh.
I'm pretty sure Lucas Tracy had this guy number 3 or some shit. I don't know, dude.
I had Yan at like number 7, but
really watch these videos. But I'm gonna be real. He did have to wrestle against O'Malley. He did get outstruck at moments by Aljo and by Song Yadong. I'm not going to ignore that.
Yeah, you that's the thing. That's what holds Yan back from being top 5. It's like there have been too many rounds where he just gets outstruck, and you can't just say, well, that's his game plan. Like, okay, well, then his game plan is losing rounds. Like, it's not an efficient thing. I mean, you could say it's efficient for the later rounds, but listen, if you're the best striker on the planet, you don't fucking lose rounds in order to win them later. Okay, if you're a good striker, you can lose moments in order to win moments, but not rounds. Okay, especially when you're out there in front of a grappler. You can't do that.
Because of his highlight reel. Like, he did get outstruck by Aljo in round 1 of their fight. Both of their fights, excuse me. He was getting outstruck at point by Aljo.
No, but like, he lost a round to Aljamain Sterling on the feet, and he's lost 2 of them. He lost the second round to Aljo in their first fight because Aljo was just throwing a lot of volume, and he lost the first round to Aljo in their first fight. I know it's like a strategic thing that he has a slow start, but that's still losing rounds, and hey, Aljo won the fight because of that first round, you know? That could be an issue for Yan. You know, that's the thing. It's like, yeah, we can say he's one of the best strikers, but you can't call him number 1.
He was getting outstruck in round 1 by Song Yadong. Don't lie, bro. At the end of round 1 of Song Yudong and Petr Yan, a lot of you motherfuckers were like, bro, it's over for Yan, bro. He's going to one championship. It's over, bro. I remember so many people.
Yeah, the whole he's downloading data thing. Like, he is kind of doing it, but he's not. He's just a slow starter. Like, he's just regular. He's just kind of low output at times, you know? He's a slow starter. And he downloads data, but he's also a slow starter. It never downloaded? Yeah, in that fight. Yan only lost to Aljo and Merab because the wrestling, that's it. Yeah, but he lost the first round, and that was only striking. And yeah, like wrestling, yeah, for sure. I know Merab's not a better striker than Yan. Obviously, Merab won that with the takedowns. But yeah, you know, Merab was also kind of piecing him up at times on the feet. It's just, you know, that's Merab is not human when it comes to his cardio and his ability to push a pace. Like, he's just not even human when it comes to that. Never forget when Merab 50-45'd Yan. Yep. I will never forget that moment. It was a horrible moment watching it live. But, you know, Merab is a freak, so I can deal with it. At least the guy that beat Yan is, like, from another world, you know? At least the guy that beat Yan has, like, an alien-like gas tank, and you can kind of just write it off as, oh, well, he's literally just, you know, different, and he's OP. He's an anomaly. That's not a normal thing that anyone could do to Yan. It's no lack of skill. It's just like Merab's literally just built different. No one's calling him boring after that. It was not the most entertaining way of beating someone, but it was impressive at least.
Messaging me after round 1, dude, Yan is cooked. Oh my god. You know what I'm saying? So let's be fucking real here.
Dude, I hate seeing this
Yan
photo
at 6,
of
I think that makes a lot of sense. Now we're getting to the top 5. This is where it gets
fucking hate this photo of
really,
Volk. Because it just represents how declined he is. This photo of Volk, you guys remember the old ones of Volk with the belt, where he's like shredded and he's got the belt. This is the photo that you see of Volk when you look him up now.
You know,
that you can use with the white background for UFC videos.
I guess this is where it gets interesting with a lot of people's opinions. Coming in at number 5 on my list, I'm the top of God.
Dude, I fucking hate this photo. This photo sucks. It represents the decline. Fat Volk. Weight cut is horrible. Look at his face. Volk is like, this is the face of someone that's fat and draining themselves to get down in weight. He's simultaneously overweight and he's got like a death face from the weight cut at the same time. He's got love handles and he's like, you know, dehydrated because he's losing water weight. This is the worst photo of Volkanovski that they have to represent him at this point. Like, they just fucking, why can't they just go back to Volk pre-belt where he's shredded, dude? This sucks. Yeah. Pale as a ghost, blind as a bat. Dude, this photo just represents his decline so well.
You know, I think Volk at number 5, that makes a lot of sense, you know. If you don't agree, you know, it is what it is, but, you know, stand up for yourself in the comments, you know. I'm putting Volk at 5. I think people forget, man. Listen, I don't give a fuck that he got knocked out by Makhachev, that he got knocked out by Topuria, right? That's why he's not near the top anymore. He's down at number 5. But I'm not going to forget the absolute masterclass this guy put on Max Holloway.
True.
I'm not going to let the streets forget about
True.
that 50-40.
Very true. That's the thing. I saw a poll the other day, a big poll on YouTube where they were saying, who's the best striker? It was Connor, Volk, and Poirier that you could vote for. And Volk had the least votes after he outstruck Max 3 times, dude. That's insane. 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 He hadn't lost in his division until Ilia Topuria. Look at that bum Volk. It does look like a bum here, bro, but yeah, he's underrated.
45
man.
on Max.
To be fair, if he loses again, then okay. Then it's like, okay, now I understand bumping him out of the conversation for best strikers in the world right now, but dude, this guy lost to Islam Makhachev in the most expected way possible. Like, off the couch, fat, drunk. Not drunk, but like, you know, had been drinking, injured, arm injury. Of course he was going to get smoked. Of course, he still stuffed that first takedown, though. He still stuffed the takedown. Still stuffed the takedown. You remember that? When Volk literally stuffed the first takedown that Makhachev shot at him and said, oh, yeah. Volk freaking yelled at him, too. That was an epic moment. You guys remember that. That's at least something to get hyped up from. Remember Volk freaking shut down Makhachev's wrestling in the rematch too? Nice. Remember that? Makhachev freaking collided with him. It was like a collision, like an NFL collision. Oh, yeah. Volkanovski fucking stuffed that. That was the trick up his sleeve. Stuffed that easily. That's what we have to be hyped up off, you know? People forget, man. Volkanovski fucking shut the wrestling down in the rematch.
Holloway, bro. I'm not going to forget the fact that this man outstruck Jose Aldo before he was in his prime. This was like pre-championship.
Yeah. Again, I think that if he loses again on the feet, then I understand not having him in your combo for best strikers in the world at the moment. Because a lot of what Volkanovski's done that was impressive was like, you know, years ago. But again, he did KO Yair Rodriguez last summer. It's not that long ago. I mean, there's some other fighters like Fiziev that are still in talks being the best strikers. Fiziev hasn't won a fight in ages. Right?
Volk, he outstruck Jose Aldo. People do not even remember the fact that they fought each other. Right?
To be fair, I'm going to be honest, as a Volk fan, people don't remember that they fought because that fight sucked. Aldo and Volk sucked so much. It was such a boring fight. You'll never hear me talk about this again, but I'll just be 100% honest, 100% real. That fight was boring as fuck. That's why it was forgotten. All right? It was boring as fuck. Finally admitted it. Yeah, I'm going to be honest. I'm going to be honest. That fight sucked so much, but I'm going to be real, though. Even though it sucked, it was a masterclass. And he made Aldo look silly, and he held Aldo to less than 30 strikes. But I'll be real, that fight sucked. That's why. But it was no lack of skill from Volk. It was not a lack of dominance. It was a fucking chess match. One-sided chess from Volk. One-sided chess. It was a freaking masterclass from Volk. Even though it stunk. It was one of those stinky fights where it's like, okay, well, you got to give him credit because this is Aldo. He made Aldo look mid. That's the impressive part. At least when Volk stinks it up, it's against Aldo, and it still is relatively high output. It's not against Vettori, dude. At least Volkanovski does that shit. Dude, Volkanovski's output in that fight was still better than Adesanya's output against Vettori in a 5-rounder. Still better. All right? But you hate Strickland for Scott. Yeah, well, that was 5 rounds, though. It was different. It was 5 rounds, and it's Paulo Costa. It's not Jose Aldo. And at least Volkanovski was throwing punches and throwing kicks. Like, Strickland was just throwing flimsy teeps. It was way better than that, but it was still a boring fight. Emelianenko should be higher than Volk on the GOAT list. No, the heck he shouldn't. For beating who? Big Nog? And losing multiple times in his 30s to people that aren't even top 10 GOATs? Which top 10 GOAT has he beat? Who did he beat? Coleman? Big Nog? Sorry, but those guys are good. They're great. But they've been passed up by 50 people at this point. Middleweights naturally have less output. That's true. That's true. But still, they don't have that much lower output. Like, Pereira has good output at middleweight. Strickland has good output at middleweight. Cannonier has good output at middleweight. Same with Whitaker. Whitaker has good output. It's not necessarily always... There's not like a huge gap when it comes to output. How the fuck is Volk top 5? He got KO'd by a wrestler, then a BJJ guy? Oh my goodness. I know you have to be trolling with this. Anyone that considers Ilia Topuria a BJJ guy is just... They're just yapping. They're either yapping or they're trying to be hardcore to remind people that they know that he used to grapple. He's a BJJ guy. When you really think about it, you know, this guy's not even a boxer. He was actually a grappler back in the day. He actually started grappling. Like, okay, so you're just trying to tell people that you know that. Anyway, who's on Bedtime's third? Okay, let's hear this. Let's hear the argument.
Yeah,
this could be hard. It is a hardcore take to put Ilia top 5.
Okay, I'll put this fucking... I'm sick of this guy, bro. I'm sick of this fucking guy.
I don't understand.
Already.
Dude.
He hasn't even defended his belt, and
am I the only one that is like a big fan of Topuria all of a sudden? I say all of a sudden because, you know, I had to cope with him knocking out Volkanovski, and it's annoying that he's not fighting that often, but he's going to fight. Listen, I like Max Holloway more, I like Volkanovski more, but what's so unlikable about Ilia Topuria? Because if you take into consideration that the whole ducking contenders thing is to piss people off in his division and to fuck with people, then I think it's easier to kind of deal with him. You know? Like, this guy has one of the most entertaining fight styles out of any champion. He can knock people's head off. He's a trash talker. He's got really good trash talk. He pisses people off. He's polarizing. You want to root against him sometimes, so that makes him entertaining as well. And he's, 27 years old? He's just coming into his prime. He's going to be getting even better. I mean, listen, his fans are annoying, but a lot of fan bases are annoying. Like, I think Ilia Topuria is, now that I'm over the fact that he beat Volk, I think he's a pretty good champion to have. I mean, yeah, he's not going to fight 3 times a year, but Volk wasn't fighting 3 times a year. Volk didn't really start being real active until after he beat Brian Ortega. That's when his real activity started.